My beloved child, you think I have abandoned you, yet that has never happened for even a single second. You run through the darkness, stumbling along the weary corridors of your own mind, whispering in despair that no one hears your cry for help anymore. But, my child, the problem has never been the distance between you and me. The problem lies in the latch within your heart, a place only you can reach. I am still standing there, before that door, knocking ever so gently, waiting for you to open it. That knock is unlike any sound in this world. It is not thunder, nor the explosive roar of a dazzling miracle. It is only the knock of a patient one who does not break the door, does not force it open, does not use power to compel. For I know this: if the door of the soul is opened by violence, you will never truly feel peace. Peace enters only through a door that is willingly opened by your own trembling hands. You have grown accustomed to expecting me to appear with earth-shaking noise. You want light to pierce your darkness in a single instant, like fire falling from the sky. But, my child, my light never storms in like an intruder in the night. That light waits, like a gentle oil lamp at the entrance of a shepherd's tent, still shining even when you refuse to look toward it. You accuse me of silence, yet you have forgotten the faint click of the latch you closed just last night. Within that silence, I have heard your heavy breathing, your collapse beneath waves of pain, your accusations toward fate for not answering you. Yet you do not realize that you are also placing stone after stone upon the wall that separates us. You ask me to pour down a rain of restoration, but you hide yourself inside an underground fortress, a place where not a single drop can pass through unless you choose to lower the glass door. I stand outside with a jar filled with the cool water of life, while you remain inside, dry and trembling, wondering why no drop reaches your lips. Let me show you this truth. You have not been abandoned. You are simply sitting in a dark room, a room you believe to be your last refuge of safety. Yet, in reality, it is the shadow that causes you to lose yourself. That room may be filled with shattered memories, wounds you have endured, words others planted within you that make your heart tremble whenever you try to open again. You retreat into it and then believe I no longer seek you. But, my child, I have been sitting before that door for a very long time, patient like a shepherd, waiting for a lost sheep to gather enough courage to step out from the thicket where it is trapped. I hear you crying out for light. I hear your hands striking the ground, begging for a miracle. But, my child, light cannot enter when those very hands have closed every window. It is like a farmer sitting in a field of lush green grass, yet building a dark hut, tying it shut, and then lamenting that the sun has abandoned him. In truth, the sun still shines brilliantly, while the farmer has locked himself inside. You are afraid to step out. I understand that. Inside the fortress you built, pain remains undisturbed, memories untouched, and you feel as though you still control everything. But that is only a fragile illusion, like a thirsty person hiding inside an underground bunker. They believe they are safe, not realizing that this safety costs them their very life. Outside, the sky prepares a great rainfall, yet the rain will never reach the ground if the bunker door remains sealed. You have asked me to break that door for you. You have cried until your voice was lost, asking, "Why do you do nothing? Why do you let me suffer like this?" And I want you to understand this clearly once and for all. That door is latched from the inside, not because I do not want to save you, but because I will never use power to violate your freedom. I have seen countless souls burdened by the illusion that God has abandoned me, and I have witnessed trembling spirits reach for the latch after years of self-imprisonment. Do you know what happens then, when that latch lifts? The dark room cannot withstand the light. It dissolves, not because I force it, but because the light has always been ready. waiting only for you to choose it. Remember the story of the prophet Elijah. He expected me to appear in the windstorm, in the earthquake, in the raging fire, yet I was not in the noise. I came in a gentle whisper, so soft that only those listening from the depths of their soul could recognize it. You are the same. You wait for a storm to carry you out of the night, yet you overlook the soft knocking that continues from my side. Sometimes the silence you fear is itself an answer, not because I am distant, but because I am inviting you to hear the quietest sound, the sound of new hope as your hand moves toward the latch. I do not shout for you to open, because true love never forces. I knock because I respect your soul. I knock because I want you to know you may open at any moment. I knock because I have seen the light outside strong enough to heal you. Yet the only way for that light to enter is for you to touch that latch. There are days you think, if you truly wanted to save me, you would simply break the door. But, my child, if I broke the door, it would no longer be a door, it would become another wound. I do not wish to add another fracture to your heart. I want you to open it yourself, so that when the light pours in, you will not tremble or shrink back in fear of losing control. I want you to open it yourself, so you will know that you chose life. That is what the prodigal son in Scripture did. I did not pull him home with an invisible rope. I waited. I did not impose. I did not break the door. But when he returned, I ran to him, embraced him, and clothed him anew. Do you know why? Because I wanted him to feel the joy of a soul that freely returns, not one that is forced back. Where are you on that journey? Are you standing on the road home? Or still sitting within the fortress of fear? Are you knocking on the wall you built yourself? Or have you begun to hear the gentle knock from my side? Do you realize that one small movement, so small you think it changes, nothing could be the turning point of your entire destiny? The shepherd does not abandon a lost sheep. He searches through the mist, calls its name in the night, and when he finds it trembling behind a bush, he does not scold it. He kneels, gently lifting it onto his shoulders. I do the same with you. But for me to carry you, you must step out from the dark corner where you hide. No one can lift a soul that has locked itself inside a bunker. In the human world, betrayal makes the soul ache. But what is truly frightening is not the moment of betrayal, it is when the soul begins to build a fortress so it will never be betrayed again. That fortress is the door you have closed to me. My child, I have never been like them. I do not come to take from you, nor to make you tremble in fear of being hurt. But I know that if you have carried a deep wound, even the gentlest light can sting your eyes. I will never force you out of your past with strength. I simply extend my hand and wait until you are brave enough to place yours into it. And one day, when you turn back and look at that wound, you will realize it is not proof that you are weak. It is proof that you have lived, loved, and believed. But to move forward, you must do something many souls fear most: forgiveness. Not forgiving the one who hurt you, but forgiving yourself for holding on to that pain as if it were your identity. When you release the past, the lock begins to shed its first layer of rust. You may not open it yet, but it has begun to move. You think I am silent, but in truth, you no longer wanted to listen, because a soul carrying the pressure to control everything keeps the door closed to anything it cannot decide on its own. You fear letting go. You fear surrender. You fear that if you open the door, you will not know what might rush in. And so you lock everything. Hold the key in your hand. Hide it beneath your pillow, believing that as long as you control things, you will never be hurt again. My child, control is not strength. Often, it is only a heavy armor that exhausts you. You wear it every day until you forget the feeling of lightness, when you let me carry you. You predict, calculate, and doubt the future as if you must oversee the sky itself. But the sky is not yours to control. You are like a small child standing before the ocean, trying to gather each wave into a tiny bucket. It makes you feel strong, but in truth, you are only binding yourself. Some people pray, yet while praying they try to persuade me to follow their will. They do not release, they negotiate. They do not open the door, they control every sliver of light. You have been like that too, haven't you? You asked me to guide your path and then told me which direction to go. But my child, I lead not to take away your freedom, but to free you from burdens you were never meant to carry. The obsession with control tightens your lock so firmly that even the wind cannot pass through. It is like a sealed block of iron, not rusted, but rigid. And though you may not realize it, that very metal has dulled your ability to hear my knock. As you guard the door of your soul with trembling hands, you do not notice that those same hands are blocking the sound I send to you. But my child, you do not need to hold on so tightly anymore. The only thing I ask is not that you master everything, but that you dare to let me step in even when you do not yet know what will happen next. Control is an illusion, peace is real. A soul that learns to release will begin to hear the gentle wind I send. Do not fear the word pride. It is not arrogance as you imagine. Spiritual pride can be very subtle. It is when you think you must be perfect before I can accept you. It is when you tell yourself, I cannot open the door because I am not clean enough for him to enter. It is the feeling that you must repair every mistake before returning to me. And that very thought is what keeps you closing the door whenever I arrive. You have forgotten this. I do not come to judge your dusty house. I come to clean it with you. I do not love you because your door shines. I love you even when it is rusted, bent, and about to break. Spiritual pride makes you forget the simplest truth: you cannot sanctify yourself. Only the light can do that, and that light can only enter when you open the door. There are souls who appear holy in the eyes of the world, yet close their doors to me because they believe I only enter perfect places. But my child, if I only entered perfect places, I would never come to this world. I came in a manger, in the humblest place. So you would understand that light rejects no place as long as it is willing to open. Spiritual pride makes you remain silent when you should ask. It makes you stand alone when you should lean on me. It makes you think you must heal your wounds first before letting me see them. But my child, you have never healed any wound alone. Every time you recovered was because the light touched you first. This third piece of metal is the hardest to peel away. It is not rough like pain. It is not rigid like control. It is thin, bright, yet resilient, like a thread tied to your self-respect. It makes you think I must be strong. But my child, you do not need to be strong before me. You only need to be real. I want you to know this. The lock is not something that makes you blameworthy. It is a sign that you are afraid, wounded, trying to survive. One who has been abandoned will lock the door. One who has been betrayed will lock the heart. One who has been judged will lock the mouth. One who fears the light will close their own eyes. That lock tells me what you have been through. It tells me you need healing. It tells me you need time. And I have patience for all your time. But your time in this life is not infinite. And if you remain forever in that fortress, the light will turn toward other fields where doors are open. I do not want to lose you, but I also do not want you to live a life where light only lingers outside your door. You were created to live in green pastures, to walk upon the waters, to bathe in cool streams, to step into radiant light. You were not born to live inside a dark fortress. Fear makes you believe the fortress is safe, but in truth, it is a slow-burning furnace that consumes your hope day by day. No one else is doing this to you. You, in your attempt to protect yourself, have locked yourself inside the fire of loneliness and doubt. I do not blame you, but I want you to understand you deserve to step out of it. You think that to open the door, you must defeat fear. But, my child, fear does not need to be conquered. It only needs to be faced. Fear is powerful only when you turn away from it. When you look at it directly, it shrinks at once like night shadows dissolving at the first light of dawn. Try looking at the lock with new eyes. It is not an obstacle. It is proof that you tried to protect your heart. And now, the only thing you need to do is let me help you remove each layer of metal. No rushing. No forcing. Just a breath. A moment of stillness. A decision to open even the smallest crack of light. You cannot turn the key if you despise the very lock it belongs to. You can only open it when you understand why it exists. You ask me, where is the key? I gently place a mirror in your hands, and within it, you see your own hand. The key to freedom has always been in your grasp. No one can take it from you. No one can hide it. No one can use it except you. I may knock, but I cannot turn the latch. I may call, but I cannot pull the door. I may stand before it, but I cannot force my way in. Because I love you. And true love always leaves space for the one who is loved to choose. When you turn the key, even a little, I will do the rest. When you understand the structure of the lock, when you see why the door has remained closed for so long, you will step into the next chapter, the law of the harvest, where time, opportunity, and grace intersect in a sacred moment. And then you will understand that my love is infinite, but the opportunities in this lifetime are not. But do not be afraid. You are reading these words. That means you have already begun to turn the key. You think the words "I cannot wait any longer" are a warning of abandonment. But my child, it is not the sigh of a being who has lost patience. It is the rhythm of the universe, the appointed hour of harvest. The moment when grace has ripened to gold and cannot remain still for another minute. If you do not step out at the right time, the grain will crumble in the very field I prepared for you. Not because I withdraw the blessing, but because everything in this world has its season, even grace. Listen closely. Beyond the door you still keep closed. There is a movement your soul can feel, but has not yet dared to face. It is the turning of seasons. It is the whisper of the wind announcing that the hour of harvest has come. It is light slipping through the crack of the door. Gentle, like an invitation, yet powerful, like a sickle, ready to enter the field. I cannot wait, not because I am weary, but because if the harvest is not gathered on time, what you have sown will be lost. In the spiritual world, just as in the earthly one, there is a time to sow and a time to reap. No one sows in winter. No one harvests in the storm. And no one lets grain rot in the field while believing there is still time. I see that your season has arrived. I see the seeds you planted in tears swelling with life, ready to burst into golden wheat. Yet the door you keep shut holds the harvest still. The light is ready. The energy is abundant. The opportunity trembles, waiting for your touch. Only the latch remains in your hand. Think of a river. Water waits for no one. It flows, curves, changes course, and slips into places ready to receive it. Not because the river is cold, but because its nature is movement. The Spirit is like that water. I carry the source of life. I bring blessings. I bring opportunity. I bring light, and they are always moving. They seek doors that are open. They seek fields that are ready. If you pull the door open, the blessing will rush in. But if you keep it closed too long, the blessing does not disappear. It simply flows elsewhere, toward hearts that are open, toward souls reaching out to receive. My child, that is not abandonment. That is the law of the harvest. I want you to understand this truth with all your heart, Surrender is not defeat. It is returning what you were never strong enough to carry. When you release, you lose nothing. You simply give back the burden to the one always ready to bear it for you. Like a lost sheep lying exhausted on the ground. It cannot stand up to return home, but when it stops struggling, the shepherd can lift it onto his shoulders. You think you must be strong to open the door. But my child, the door opens only when you dare to be weak before me. Many times you have said, I will open the door when I am more mature, more stable, more clean. But that is like a field waiting to be perfectly weed-free before allowing the rain to fall. Rain comes to wash away the weeds. Light comes to dry the mud. And I come to help you become the strongest version of yourself. Surrender is the moment your soul releases its right to self-defense. It is when you say, I will not try alone anymore. And my child, that sentence is the very first sound of the lock turning. You cannot unlock the door if you still believe you are unworthy to step out of the darkness. Sin may make you bow your head, but shame is what truly locks the door. You have forgiven others, yet you have judged yourself the harshest of all. I see it every time you avoid the light. Every time you whisper, you could not possibly want me anymore. But my child, I do not wait for you to be perfect. I wait for you to be honest about your wounds. Forgiving yourself is not forgetting your mistakes. It is accepting that you cannot go back and repair yesterday. You can only step into today with open hands. When you say, I am sorry to myself for carrying this pain for so long, your cocoon begins to tremble. That is the first crack, a small sound, yet stronger than any confession. And every crack, every fragment of shell that falls away, brings you closer to freedom. You have held on to fear, guilt, and memories that could not be healed for too long. Now, I invite you to set them down, not because you must be strong, but because you are tired. Look at yourself with the eyes I used to see you, eyes that know exactly how fragile you are, yet love you without change. When you accept forgiving yourself, you have already turned the key halfway. Now, my child, it is time to release the heaviest thing, control. You do not realize that it has made your life dry like cracked earth. Control makes you think you are holding your life together. But in truth, it makes your heart shrink. It convinces you that if you do not manage everything, all will collapse. Yet the nature of the universe does not rest in your hands. And the peace I promise cannot enter while your hands are still clenched around everything. Take a gentle breath and realize that you are not required to know everything. You do not need to understand the entire road before taking a step. The shepherd does not hand out maps. He simply walks ahead, and the sheep follow his voice. Letting go of control is not blind recklessness. Letting go of control is trusting that I will not lead you into a place of only darkness. When you release, the cocoon tears like a falling drop of water. Soft, quiet, yet strong enough to free a pair of wings. If you let go, you will feel your heart grow brighter. You will breathe more easily. You will hear my voice more clearly, not because I come closer, but because the layers between us are falling away. Many souls stop the moment they hear the first tear, not because they do not want the light, but because they fear losing their old self, a shape that has existed so long it became a refuge. But my child, nothing within you is harmed by the light. The light only takes away what no longer belongs to you. The pain of turning the lock does not come from my arrival. It is the sound of the old shell being stripped away. Remember the caterpillar, if we cut the cocoon for it, it will never learn to fly. The pain of breaking free is what makes the wings strong. You are the same. Every cry of the ego is not a sign that you are wrong, but a sign that you are changing in the right direction. I am there, just before the door, resting my hand upon it from the outside, waiting for you to break the shell one final time. Place your hand upon your chest and take another deep breath. As that breath enters, imagine it as a sacred sword, not sharp to wound, but sharp enough to cut the cords that bind your soul. The sword of the Spirit always arrives before any rescue begins. When you breathe deeply, you invite that sword to separate what belongs to darkness from what belongs to light. The inhale is the sword touching the cocoon. The exhale is the shell falling away. The inhale is light flooding the heart. The exhale is fear leaving the soul. As your breathing becomes steady, you will realize that you have already changed. You have stepped into the moment that cannot be reversed, the moment when the latch has turned more than halfway, when darkness no longer holds you with its old power. Now, we need a moment of stillness, not to think, but to allow. Let this silence soothe your throat, soften your shoulders, and widen the space within your chest. When the mind grows quiet, the soul hears more clearly. And in this stillness, I want you to feel something very important. The light is already standing at the door. It is ready to pour in the moment the latch fully opens. You are not alone in this ritual. I am here, not outside the door, not far away, but right beside your breath. In this silent moment, I draw you out of the panic of the ego and lead you into the land of stillness, where your soul can hear the whisper of the Spirit open. My child, I have waited for you for so long. You often think the door must be fully open to meet me. But my child, the light does not need a great doorway. It only needs a tiny crack. When you create that sliver of light, my power will do the rest. The light is not fragile as you imagine. It simply waits for the permission of freedom to flow in. A small crack can change the color of an entire room. A gentle turn of the latch can reverse destiny. A very small decision, so small that the world cannot see it, can open a new life. You do not have to step out immediately. You only need to allow the light to step in. If today you open even the smallest gap, the light will find you. When you turn the latch completely, what happens will not be threat, but overflow. The room you have lived in for so long will blaze with brightness until you barely recognize it. The dust you thought was your fate will dissolve into the air. No more battles in the mind. Only the gentle wind of the sower entering and placing a hand upon your shoulder. But before that happens, you need to complete this ritual. Turn the lock to the very end. No jerking, no pounding. Just turn, gently, yet decisively, and I will step in. My child, the moment the final latch turns, the universe seems to hold its breath, not because that old door has any power, but because what is happening inside you is greater than any movement of the earth. When you open, even a little, the light does not enter like an awkward stranger, but like a father who has been waiting a long time, simply waiting for you to crack the door so he may come forward and embrace you. There is no explosion, no thunder, no dramatic spectacle, only one thing: life returning to your heart. And in the moment the light touches that old space, you know you will never be the same again. You feel it immediately. The air within the familiar room of your soul suddenly becomes spacious, clear, and light like a meadow at dawn. No more damp scent of fear, no more dust of wounds, no more heaviness from the days you hid from yourself. The light covers everything, even the corners you believed would never be freed. But the light does not judge. It simply disperses what has long ceased to belong to you. And my child, in that very moment, I want you to realize a simple truth you had forgotten: you were never abandoned. You only lacked light. When the light pours in, it does not just illuminate the room, it illuminates your heart. It warms the places long frozen by doubt. It awakens the parts of your soul that had fallen into a deep sleep, causing them to open their eyes like tiny sparks returning to life. I know you can feel it. Your breath grows deeper. Your chest opens wider. and your mind softens as if an invisible hand has comforted the anxiety you have held too tightly for so long. You are not changing because you strive. You are changing because the light is freeing you from every old fear. Then you will realize something wondrous. The light does not destroy anything that truly belonged to you. It only removes what has been draining you. It does not erase memory, but it heals the way memory lives within you. It does not erase wounds, but it transforms them into stories instead of chains. You will see every corner of the room of your mind, the places where you once cried, shattered, and called for help, now turned by the light into places where you can stand firmly. And my child, that is not the result of effort. It is the result of an open door. And finally, as you take a deep breath and allow that light to fill every breath within you, you will hear me whisper something very small, very gentle, yet powerful enough to rewrite your destiny. You have opened the door. Leave the rest to me. Lord, now that the door of my soul has been opened and your light has filled every breath, I kneel before you and offer the deepest prayers within my spirit, not in perfection, but in honesty, not in strength, but in complete surrender. Please listen. O Lord, Lord, today, as your light has entered the place once held by darkness, I ask that you preserve this miracle within my heart. Do not let it become a passing moment. Transform it into the new rhythm of my life itself. I know my heart is easily shaken, easily pulled back toward old habits, easily bent toward fear whenever life's storms arrive. Yet I ask that you place your hand upon my heart, as a shepherd steadies a trembling lamb, so that it may stand firm in the whirlwinds of this world. Teach me to keep the door of my heart open, not because I am strong enough to hold it open, but because you are strong enough to keep it for me. Let your light not only shine upon the surface of my soul, but sink into every crack, move through every hidden corner, and live within every decision I make, so that with every breath, I know I am breathing with your very life. Lord, today I step into a new journey, into a land my soul has never walked before. I ask that you become the lamp before my steps, the rod and staff that sustain me when I grow weary, the refreshing water when I am dry. I do not want to simply open the door and let the light enter. I want to follow that light to the places you have prepared for me since the beginning. Yet, I know the path will sometimes be rough, sometimes unclear, sometimes filled with the voices of old doors calling me back. Grant me attentive ears to hear your voice among countless noises, and clear eyes to recognize your hand, even in the hardest circumstances. Give me the courage to follow you to the end, even when I do not understand everything you are doing, and help me trust that if you go before me, I will never be lost. Lord, now that the door has opened and your light has filled the foyer of my soul, I ask that you continue transforming me from within, not only in moments of emotional overflow, but in the most ordinary days. Remove from me the old layers, the silent fears, the words of self-condemnation I once used to bind myself. Make me soft soil beneath your hands, so that you may plant within me seeds of patience, kindness, peace, and unconditional love. Cleanse every remaining shadow within me, the places I have never dared to face, and create in me a new heart, a heart that loves without fear, gives without holding back, and lives without doubt, a heart shaped in your likeness. Lord, I thank you because you never left the threshold of my heart, even on the days I shut it tightly with all my fear and stubbornness. I thank you because your knocking carried no pressure, only patience, not the sound of force, but the invitation of love. I know I ran. I locked myself in darkness. I thought you had forgotten me. Yet today, as the light pours in, I finally understand that you were always there. waiting for me to grow weary enough to open the door again. That faithfulness is greater than I can fully comprehend, but I will spend my life remembering it. Lord, I thank you because you did not simply step through the door, you rekindled life within my soul. I thank you because the lands within me that once felt cracked and dry have turned green again. I thank you for turning my scars into witnesses of grace, and my failures into foundations for growth. I thank you because every breath now feels lighter, deeper, and filled with greater hope. You have restored to me the ability to dream, to trust, to open my heart without trembling. And I know nothing can take this new breath away from me anymore. I offer this prayer in the holy name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that together we can build a strong community of faith.